Good morning. Oh my god, it's almost time for me to go to work. Slave my face, of course. So in this video, I want to review, I already read the book, The Fact of the Body by Alexandria Marzano Lesnovich. Okay, so it's like a memoir, and how a murder kind of clashed together. So in the book, she is sexually abused by her grandfather, and when she tells her parents, they seem to like brush it under the rug, and they're like, "Don't tell your grandmother." And they never wanted to accept the fact that he did that to her and her sister. And he babysat for her a lot and stuff like that. So he was like always around because he was grandpa. Then comes the murder in question of a little 7 or 6-year-old boy. His name is Jeremy Guillory. So there's this pedophile, and it goes into his like history of his parents, the tragedy of his parents, how he became to be. They're very poor, and they had a really bad accident before he was even born. So then he's always been like the outcast of the family, the outcast in school, and he's always had a fetish for little boys, little kids in general. So Alexandria ends up going to law school, and in one of the cases that she's interning, this one, it's about, Ricky and Jeremy. Ricky is the guy who did the murder, and Jeremy's the little boy. And she can't do it. She's like, I can't defend a pedophile deep in my gut. But the story, like the file, when she read about it and heard about it, and it made her delve in deeper into Ricky and how he became to be. She even visited him in prison, which I give her major props to. So this book is definitely not for the weak of heart. This book is not for a person who fears these kind of tragedies to happen. Even though like her stuff happened in a different time, and Ricky's stuff happened in a different time, because I think what he did was like in the 1992s, and her stuff was happening around the same time, but not necessarily in like the same states. She was in like Jersey, and he was in Louisiana, Georgia, something like that. This book tugged at my heart so bad. Like, the details were heartbreaking. Her details were heartbreaking. His details from the recounting of him killing the little boy was so devastating. Like, this is a mother's worst fear. But it was so detailed, and she did it so beautifully that I gave it 3 stars. And the reason why I gave it 3 stars is because I felt like the story would have been better if it was just about Ricky and not Ricky and her. And she should have just done a separate book for her story. Like, I understand how it all brought it together and stuff like that. Like, her seeing the mom's forgiveness and her coming to her forgiveness. But I feel like the story would have been so much better if she would have just separated those two, as a reader, I would have enjoyed a memoir of her and then her doing her research and stuff like that in a separate book. That's just my opinion. I don't know if others feel like that when they read this book. And this was an arc that was sent to me from 2017 that I was supposed to read. And I finally got to it because I was just like, let me read this book. But yeah, 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I read it in less than 2 days in 2 sittings. So that says a lot. I just gave it this rating that I did because I would have preferred her having her life story in a separate one and then the murder in another. So yeah, that's my book discussion, my book review, my opinion. Hope you guys liked it. If you've read this book, let me know down below. Let me know if you agree with me or you don't. Let's discuss.